I live a pretty good life in my forever world, but I can't say the same about the villagers living on this hill. So I want to build a beautiful village where they can live peacefully and I get resources from their trades. I live next to a cherry biome, so I'm going to build a cherry blossom themed village here. And this cherry biome is on a big mountain, but it's almost an island. There's a river all around it. It's only connected to the mainland over here. And we have this beautiful grass color and all of the petals and the beautiful trees. So this is a great spot to build up a cherry blossom village. You know, if it wasn't for all the scary holes, there's a skelly in there. This is definitely not safe right now. Die. We gotta light all of this up, and more importantly, we gotta cover all of this up. I don't want any zombies or this green guy over here creeping on my villagers. Go die. I slayed. There's an arrow in my brain. And yeet the child. Ah! It set me on fire. This went really well. But even though it's fun to beat up all of the monsters, we actually have to make this area safe and terraform it because it's a mess. So let's first get a better overview of the area by chopping down all of the cherry trees. And I'm gonna need cherry wood for building anyway, so this is a win-win situation. I got a bunch of saplings, but I think for the rest of the trees, I'm gonna use my silk touch hoe and just mine all of the leaves. I think using the pink leaves as decoration around the village would be really cute. A lot of leaf cutting later. And now all of the trees are gone, except this one leaf floating in the sky. Leave now! It's just not going away. And we also got 2 shulker boxes full of cherry leaves and some of the wood. And we're definitely going to need that later, because once the village is built, we can use those leaves to maybe bring some trees back. Now we have a good overview of the space we have for building, but it's still pretty much a mess full of uneven terrain, so the next step is terraforming it all. And of course, covering up all of the nasty caves by creepers. And so I spent the next 2 hours of my life flattening the terrain, and it turned out to be a lot more work than I anticipated, because I didn't only have to add tons of dirt, I also had to remove stuff and push back the hills, so I could actually fit a couple houses in the area. And this entire area is looking so different now. I honestly didn't expect it to take 2 hours of terraforming to get it this way, but we did it, and we have a whole bunch of resources. We even have a whole box full of the cute pink petals, and I terraformed this in a way that we could fit several buildings in a circle around this area. So now we just gotta plan out where exactly they're gonna go, and I'm just gonna place some andesite pillars where I think a good house location will be. And so far I have spots for 5 buildings. I guess now we just gotta bring Cherrytown to life. So we gotta gather all of the resources we're gonna need. I think for the first time ever we're actually not going to need spruce wood, and that's pretty much the only wood I own. I only got this much cherry wood from chopping down the trees, so we gotta grow some more trees, because if all our houses are gonna be made out of cherry wood, we're gonna need tons of it. Oh no, I grew it into my custom tree. No! Yeah, this is bad. Pro Minecraft. I haven't built with cherry wood in ages, and since then the pale garden stuff has been added. So we could combine both of these blocks together and get a really cute pastel block palette. But that means I'm also going to be chopping pale oak trees for the next hour. But having these 2 shulker boxes full of wood isn't going to be enough, because I like to texture my builds like I've done on my house here, where I textured the roof and the walls. So we need to find some white and pinkish blocks that fit in with the pale oak and the cherry wood. And the first block I want to get can only be found in the dark oak forest, because I want to pick up these white mushroom stems. So we're just gonna take those and then leave the mushroom floating. You saw nothing. And the next thing I want to get is white terracotta, but we don't have a mesa anywhere nearby in my world. But there's an alternative way to get terracotta. We just need to mine out a bunch of clay in the ocean. But instead of smelting the clay balls into bricks, we craft them into clay blocks again, and they will turn into normal blocks of terracotta. And while that is melting, we gotta go and get the next block that we need, because I also want to get white concrete. And that only gave us concrete powder, so we gotta convert it into normal concrete. And what I like to do is just dig 2 blocks and then spill water in one of them, and then just add a slab on top so I cannot destroy the water source. And then I just place all of the concrete powder in here, and all of the blocks are flying everywhere. And our terracotta is done smelting too, so we can turn that into white terracotta. And it has this kind of pinkish look, and I have some really cool ideas on how to use that. Now there's 1 more white block we need, and for that we gotta go to the nether. I hate going to the nether, so I made this beautiful owl portal to motivate me every time I go in. Why is there a llama in the nether? Hi pigs, you smell. And the thing I need from the nether is quartz, because they make really nice white blocks. Must not look at Enderman. And after some painful quartz mining, I actually realized I don't even have to be in the nether to get this block. I can just trade with a mason villager. I'm so happy I realized that. Let's get out of here. I'm scared. I hate the nether. Let's see if we have any unemployed villagers left here. I have this really bad villager breeder here where I just put 2 villagers and beds in a house and blocked all the doors. I'm so horrible. Make a little child villagers. And now we have a little villager baby. And now we just let the baby escape out of this hole. And now we just steal their baby. And we can toss these guys more patads because we're gonna need a lot more villagers if we want to build a whole new village. And now we just go down the hill with a villager. Whee! And the best way to transport villagers is just have a lead on the boat and just pull them after me. I have a mod that gives all of the villagers names. So these ones here are Eric and Gloria. And their little baby is called Owen. And our little Owen is grown up and he can become a stonecutter guy. He doesn't want to. Ugh, he's slowly looking at me. He's creepy. I'm just gonna put him in a little hole for now. I'm really sorry, Owen. Yay! We got a stonecutter guy, aka Mason. Unfortunately, the quartz trade is the last trade he's gonna offer, so we need to go through all the other trades first. So it looks like we're back in the river mining clay. But today might be the last day I ever mine clay in the ocean because Owen here also trades bricks. You're the best, Owen. He just blocked the trades. You're the worst, Owen. But now we finally unlocked the last trades, the blocks of quartz, and they're going to be so expensive. How dare you, Owen? I've already crafted up a bunch of resources for the first building, and the first house I'm going to build is a farmhouse right here. This is one of the rare times where I don't use spruce wood to build a house, and because I'm only using lighter pink and white blocks, this is going to be a super different build style for me, but hopefully it's going to look good. And all of the white texture blocks I worked so hard for really came in handy, because I used the pinkish white terracotta under the roof to make it look like it's a roof shadow, and on the rest of the wall I tried to make it look like the paint has come off in some places. But this is just the hollow shell of a building, so we gotta decorate it. And since it is a farmhouse, we're gonna make a big porch in front of it. And of course every porch needs a roof on top. And in this case it's going to be a very pink roof. So when it rains, the villagers can still stand out here and yell at their neighbors. You know, classic villager things. And now this is really giving farmhouse vibes. And we also need a door, so we're gonna make a little arch out of trapdoors and stairs. But for the door itself, I want to use an iron door and then get a button to go in and out. And we're gonna have a little doormat at the entrance so I can easily walk in, but the villagers cannot escape. So I can have trade-specific villagers living in this house. And of course, they're gonna be farmers. And then I went on to decorating the rest of the house, mainly adding in fence gates as windows and spamming tons of cherry leaves everywhere. And I also added these little curly swirls at the top of the roof, and now it's looking like a really magical fairy house. And look, I even decorated the windows on the back. I wasn't lazy this time. So all the zombies sneaking up behind the house will have a really good view. Now we just gotta work on the inside and make a really pretty interior where the villagers can live happily. I want to have several villagers living here, so we're gonna give them 3 green little beds because they're gonna be farmers. And then they're gonna need 3 composters as their workstations. And I'm gonna make them really pretty and modern looking. And I also added in a bunch of plants and storage, a little flower growing desk area, and then the cozy bedroom. And when they sleep, they have to look at this painting. Oh yeah, it is really creepy to have them watching while you sleep. And then we also have a ladder leading to the upstairs room, but I didn't put anything here because I want to try and fit a farm in here. Once I get the villagers, we're actually gonna need something to trade with them, and the easiest thing to trade with farmers are melons and pumpkins. And I just realized it was actually good that I went to the nether and got the quartz, because for the farm we're gonna need observers, and you need the nether quartz to craft it, and you cannot get that from villagers. And I have all the other resources ready, so now we can craft observers, pistons, and a lot of hoppers. We also need melon and pumpkin seeds, so good that I have this really ugly manual farm right here. And that reminds me, in my manual farm area, we also have a farmer villager. This is Daisy. She likes to run away and hug zombies a lot, which is why she's in this box, but she's gonna come to our farm later, and then she's finally gonna have a good home. So now we're just gonna try and squeeze a farm in here. I put hoppers all over the floor, so now we just need to add dirt on top. I also added some water and some light sources so the crops can grow, so now we just have to turn every other block into farmland. And then we just need to plant the seeds. Then we add observers on top of the farmland, and then pistons in the spaces in between, and then redstone dust on top. And I actually managed to fit the farm into this tiny little attic. We only have this room left, so we can go up and down the ladder and collect the stuff from the chest. And hopefully soon we're gonna get tons of melons and pumpkins. Ew, it's raining. And now we can try and get 3 farmer villagers into their new home. Of course, starting with Daisy in her little hole. Yay, Daisy in the boat. I trampled my own crops. Now we just put her on a lead, and I'm actually wondering if I can fly with a boat on a lead. Let's get this sheep here as our test subject. I'm terribly sorry. Please go on the boat. And then we can put the lead on, and then we can fly. Yes, we're pulling the sheep. Wait, we're doing it. What if we use the rockets? Or we lose the boat? We're not losing the boat. We're not losing the boat. Oh my gosh, we're doing it. Wait, this is so funny. Now we just need to carefully land this. Come on, sheep, don't die, don't die. Yes, this actually works. I know it doesn't work when you just launch from the ground, so we gotta go higher up. I got Daisy. We got her, we got her. Now we fly. No, I lost her. No, Daisy, I'm sorry. Let's try this again. This time from higher up. Come on, Daisy. We can do it. We can do it, Daisy. Come on, it's going to be fine, Daisy. Come on. Okay, let's fly. Yes. Yes, it's working. Yes. Daisy, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it, Daisy. We're actually doing it. Now we just need to carefully land this again. Okay. Very slowly. Don't die, Daisy. Don't die, Daisy. Don't die, Daisy. Yes. And I would just break the boat. And Daisy, you can go into your new home. Yes. Very good, Daisy. Yay, we got our first farmer in here. And I also added a sign on the porch naming it Daisy's Farm. Daisy's our OG farmer villager. So it's going to be her farm. And she's going to live here with her two siblings. We just need to get them first. Don't come out the door. She's watching me through the door. Kinda sus. And let's see if Daisy's siblings have been born yet. Okay, one of them has. Her name is Sadie. That's so cute. And she's jumping instead of going in the boat. Come on. And since the villager breeder is in the old village on the hill next to this hill, we can just fly over just like that. Without even using rockets. We're flying with a little baby. This is so cursed. And now she's in her new home, jumping on the bed, as they always do. And a little while later, their brother Gordon was born. So we can also fly him over to his new home. Sadie, meet your brother. And now go back inside. And Daisy's trying to escape. This is going really well. Come on, Daisy, get back inside. She's just leaving. Look at her. She's literally walking away. You're going back in the house and you're gonna be a farmer. Wait, where are their hearts? Hello? I don't even want to know what they're doing. But while the villagers are doing their thing, we can already start working on the next house. I want to build one right here in this area, but this is a diagonal area. So we gotta build a diagonal house. I've built a diagonal house before when I made a stable for my pigs, and it is looking kind of cool, so we can try and do that again. But this time it's not gonna be a house for our pigs, this time it's gonna be a house for Owen, the stonecutter guy. And now we just gotta place a square but diagonally, so the blocks only touch on these corners. And now that we have a diagonal square, we just gotta build it up. And we can also decorate the windows, but in a diagonal way. So it looks very different from my usual windows. And next to building a diagonal roof on top of the walls, I also tried building my first ever diagonal tower, using a bunch of stone bricks to hint that a mason lives here. And this isn't looking too bad for my second ever diagonal house. I think especially the tower turned out really well. Now we need to do diagonal interior, and I have no idea how to do this. So I'm just gonna put slabs on the side of the wall, like we have one big table or something. And then the bed can go in the corner. And I added the workstation and some bricks because Owen likes bricks, and Owen also traded these weird blocks so he can have those too. Because I don't want them. And now it's time for Owen's flying lesson. Yay! Look, he's having the time of his life back there. I also just realized I cannot make a diagonal door. Let's actually try if the carpet and slab trick works. So you place a carpet here, and then we place a slab here. And they shouldn't be able to go through this, but I should. I just broke my wall. But I know baby zombies could still get through this, so I can only do the carpet entrance when I lit up the entire area. And then I encountered a little surprise at the farmer's house. Wait, hello? There are 4. LeMay? I don't even know how to say your name! Hello? You're not supposed to be a farmer! Gordon's supposed to be a farmer! You leave. Get out of the house. This is not your farm. Weird villagers. Now they're just multiplying randomly. And we have a new villager, so we can just have them move in with Owen. Come on. And now Owen and LeMay, however you say it, are now known as the Stonecutter guys, aka Masons. Masons are good for quartz, farmers are good for emeralds and golden carrots, and another important trader are the librarians. And we already have a couple here. This is Ria in her box, and she trades on breaking. And in this house here, I also trapped my mending villager, and I want to build a giant library for them. And next to the mason house, we got a big hill, so I think this could be a nice spot to put a grand library. I think we actually need to get rid of another layer on this hill because this library has to be really big. So I started by marking the corners of the build, then I took all of my resources and used the stone bricks as the foundation of the house. And on top of that, I added the stripped pale wood and the planks, and of course mixing in all of the other blocks, trying to make the same texture that I did for the other houses, just on a much bigger scale. I also added a big stony entrance, and I filled in the windows with pink glass pane instead of fences like I did for the farmhouse and the mason house, because the library is a little bit more fancy and sophisticated. Then I started working on the roof using cherry stairs and planks, but I didn't want to make a full A-frame roof, so I decided to make a round barn roof. So it would be a cute little book barn. I also filled in the roof with pale oak blocks and decorated the windows on the walls. And this build is really cute, but it's still super tiny and doesn't look like a grand library. So I attached another building to the side of the house, trying to make it as cute as possible, which was very easy since it was very pink. And for symmetrical purposes, I added the exact same building on the other side of the house. It very much looks like a grand building, but also a cozy little barn, the book barn. And my favorite part about this building are these little curved roof trims that I added on both sides. And I also discovered a cool new thing about the cactus flowers because you can place them on top of the big pots so they look like they're growing out of them. It's so cool. But we still got a lot to do on the inside and we have 3 big rooms to decorate. So let's add a little stone brick floor in this room. And I'm also gonna do the floor on different levels, so we're gonna have a little staircase going down to the room on the side. Now we just need to fill all of these rooms with a bunch of books. I have all of these bookshelves, but I don't think they're gonna be enough. And I also want to craft the chiseled bookshelves because you can use books to actually put them in there and choose where they go and how many you have in them. So we're gonna need lots of sugarcane, but I already have tons of leather from my many cow killing sprees, so we can already craft tons of books. And we might also still have some bookshelves in the stronghold because they have these big libraries. Well, not as big as my library is going to be. So we can fly down through this little hole that I have here. And it goes right down to the end portal room, but of course we're not going to the end. We're going to look for some bookshelves. I found it! Oh yeah, I never looted this. Oh my gosh. And I have silk touch, so I can just mine this. And we also get some cool stuff. What? Dude, we're getting some cool enchanted books. I basically stole everything and emptied out the entire library. But now we have tons of bookshelves. And I love big libraries that have these giant tall rooms and the walls are filled with bookshelves. So we got this big wall of books where 2 librarians can work. And we also got these chiseled bookshelves, so we have to manually fill them with books. And now this is looking really cool. We also got some big lights in the ceiling so nothing can spawn. And we also got some more books on this side. And I want this room on the left to be a big study and reading room, so it has to be super cozy. So we got a big shelf leaving this cute little corner where we can sit with a little lamp, so we have a cozy little reading nook. We got 1 lectern here, but I want to fit some more in here, so let's build a bigger table, which is going to be a little study table so we can have the lecterns inside of it. So the villagers can sit here and work really hard on thinking about potatoes. That's what they usually do, right? And there's also another cool detail we can add to lecterns. We just need squid ink and we also need feathers. Looking at that chest always makes me realize how many animals I've actually murdered. And then we can craft book and quill. And we can take those and we click on the lectern and then they're going to be displayed in them. And we can actually look at the book. We can also take it and also write weird stuff in it. This is the book of E. This is a super educated, sophisticated library for sure. And now this room is looking really cool. I want to chill here and read, but there's no time for that. We got the last room to decorate and I want this one to be fully covered in books so you can't even see the walls. It took so long to manually fill all of the chiseled bookshelves, but now we have a whole room full of books. Literally the whole room. We have all of these lecterns here so we can have tons of librarians working in this room. And we have a ladder going to the top shelves so we can reach all of the books up here. I love all of these rooms so much. This is such a cozy little library. Now we just need to move all of the villagers into their new home. I have 10 lecterns in the library, but I think we only have 2 librarians in our houses here. So let's first get our mending villager over to her new home. This is Edith, and she's going straight to the lectern. Perfect! The most important trade is secured. And then we also got Ria, the unbreaking villager. And then we can get even more, and for that I already prepared and I made a villager breeder, and I think it's actually working. We got Gloria and Joel, because Eric died to a wall. And we already have 2 villagers in this hole down there. I don't know how to get them out though. Hello, Jasmine and Steven. Okay, maybe I can just flush them up. Yes! I flushed them up! Flying with 2 villagers is even funnier than just 1. And now these guys can unlock new traits for us. We just have to roll traits a lot. And I turned Jasmine into a silk touch trader, and Steven has efficiency 4. But I don't just want to take more villagers from the villager breeder. I also want to rescue some more, but the hill village is kind of empty now. But we have this village nearby next to the icy snowy area. And there are tons of villagers living here, like Klaus. I wonder if we can fly with 4 villagers in a boat. I guess there's only one way to find out. I really hope this works. This would save so much time. Let's do this. Please work, please work, please work. We got him. We got him. We're flying. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's working. I bet they're having the time of their life back there. But now it's a library life for you guys. And now we got a library full of librarians and this one guy who wants to be a farmer and I cannot change his mind. He's weird. And we got Fortune 3, Aqua Affinity, and the coolest one, Feather Falling 4, and I'm gonna buy one of those. Now I won't die to falling off my builds anymore. Oh yeah. And thanks to Aqua Affinity, I can also mine underwater way faster. We still have 2 or 3 spaces left in the library, so if I ever need more librarians in the future, I can get even more trades. But for now, I think I'm satisfied with the trades I have. This farmer is annoying though. He's ran away! We already have 3 buildings in our village, and we also got a cat that I put in a boat, and it's so cute. And the next house I want to build is for a villager I already have. They've been living with my mending villager, and this is my cleric called Bo. And I really like the redstone, lapis, and glowstone trades, so we're gonna build him a beautiful home too. So I built a tiny little magical cottage with another stone tower next to it. And of course it had to rain the entire time. This is looking so magical, especially because I placed a bunch of crystals all over the roof. Now we just have to add an interior and not fall down there into the underside of the terraforming. I also added a little desk surrounded by books, and then we can add a cute little chair and a little flower. Then the bed can go in this corner with more flowers and a mossy carpet. And now we have this cozy little study room. But the problem is this one doesn't have a door, this one just has this little arch. So until everything is zombie-proof, Bo has to be locked up in the tower in front of his workstation. I also just broke my wall. Another cute little villager house is done, so we're gonna move on to the next one, which is gonna sit right here. And that one is gonna be a house for not just one villager trade, but 3 of them. The armorer, toolsmith, and weaponsmith. And I have no idea which workstation belongs to who. And I still have a bunch of cherry wood and pale wood left. So let's craft that into a bunch of different materials. And of course we need more stony blocks than usual, because it's going to be a blacksmith forge kind of thing. So we can't have any wood near the fires and the lava. And let's start with our stony blocks and build up a little box that's going to be our main building. So this here is going to be one of the rooms where one of the villagers is going to trade. And then on the left and right I want to add a little porch kind of area, similar to the Plains Village blacksmith, where they have this little outdoor smelting forge kind of thing. We need to keep the villagers safe in here, so we can add some walls and then some fence gates, so there's no escape from this prison. I mean forge. Let's add some real lava into this area, but cover it up using iron bars so the villager cannot just walk in there, because they would do that, and then they would die, and I would cry. And I think this is the workstation for the armorer. This is looking like a really nice working area. Ignore this ugly part without a roof, because we still gotta add the cherry blossom vibe, so let's first start with a pale oak wall, and then the cherry fences in the windows, and another cherry roof on top of this. It's really funny, even though I'm using the same block palette over and over, I try to make every single build look different by adding towers or making different roof shapes. So we have all of these buildings, but every single one of them is totally different. And now we have another cute little cherry building, and now we can connect the forge parts to it. And the best way to do that is to add a couple fences and then use slabs to go up towards the roof. But I don't want it to go over this part of the roof, so we're gonna have to make some really wide slab rows. So now this is looking really cool, and the atmosphere under it is really nice and gloomy. I also want to add a little chimney on top. Ow, ow, ow. And I burn myself on these every single time. Wait, Minecraft made it rain because I just burned my toes and it wants to help me. I love Minecraft. Minecraft is so cool. And I also want to decorate this area on the other side, this time for the toolsmith, I think. So they're gonna have an anvil to work on and some lava pouring down. I hope they can't burn themselves. I mean, if I can't burn myself, they can't burn themselves, right? They always find weird ways to die. Like literally, do you want to know what my librarians have been doing? They've been climbing up this ladder and then they've been falling down, taking tons of damage. So I removed the ladder so they cannot jump up here anymore. They ruined my library aesthetic, bad villagers. Anyway, no more distractions, so let's decorate the rest of the house. And if the grindstone is the toolsmith, this one should be the weaponsmith. I bet it's the other way around and I'm just dumb. So let's add a little work table here and some more storage on top, and I really hope they won't choose the barrels instead of these workstations. And now we just have to add in the iron doors so the villagers cannot escape. Then let's add some cute cherry leaves in the front. And now the cherry forge is done as well. So now we just need even more villagers. And of course the villager breeder decided to break at this exact time. So we don't even have any villagers. But if we fly past our village, we see this acacia village. And I think the villagers here actually look different. Yeah, look at those outfits. This is Neil. I like Neil. You're coming with me, Neil. And this guy over here is Nicholas. They're gonna get fired from their farmer job. I'm so sorry, Nicholas. You're going to be my toolsmith or something smith. Oh my gosh, and this guy here is called Curly. You're also fired from your job. I'm so sorry. And then it's time for more flying lessons. Come on, take the job. Look at this beautiful workstation. This guy doesn't care. This guy is now my armorer. Look, we both have red outfits. Yay! And Nicholas wants to be a fisherman. I forbid it. You're the weaponsmith. Wait, I got it wrong. I knew I got it wrong. This wasn't the toolsmith. I'm stupid. And of course, the last guy we're taking is Neil. Whee! How he bounces. No! I bounced him in the river. And Neil's going to be the toolsmith. And the best thing is that I can trade iron with all of them. And I do have this giant iron farm right here. And while I've been in my base gathering resources, this farm has been producing tons and tons of iron. My inventory is full. And we also have tons of iron in our storage here. And now we can finally use it for something. But iron isn't the first thing they trade, so we have to spend emeralds on some garbage that we don't need. That's why I have all these barrels here, because we can just dump all these iron boots that we're never gonna use, ever. They don't always unlock the iron trade, like Curly here refused, but Neil has been the best and unlocked the iron trade straight away. And now we can get emerald rich, and then we can unlock diamond armor and diamond tools. And a lot of trading later, and I maxed out all of their trades. We got diamond shovel and pickaxe, and this guy trades sword and axe. And the coolest one is Curly, who trades a full set of diamond armor. So if I ever happen to die in lava or lose all my stuff somewhere, I can just go to the cherry forge and buy everything back. Now we have 5 houses for 5 useful villager trades in this village, and I added a sign to all of them, so you already know Daisy's farm and the stonecutter guys. The library is the book barn, and of course this one here is the cherry forge, and this one here is Bo's magic abode. Abode. And now that we got all of the houses in place, we actually need to connect them together and actually create a village. Because right now it's just 5 houses in a circle. So I'm just gonna spend some time figuring out where to put a path and how to connect things up and what to add in between. So I started spamming the ground with my shovel, creating a path in a round circle, connecting all of the houses together. And we also need to figure out where to put a giant wall, so I'm just gonna mark some spaces using stone blocks. I want some of the villagers to be able to free roam this area, so zombies cannot spawn. So we could have a stone wall all around this, and now we know exactly where the village ends and begins, which means we're gonna have an easier time figuring out what to put in between all of the houses. We could have some flower fields, or maybe a little pond. And there's one I'm super scared of, because in the middle of the circle, I want to build a big tree, aka a custom cherry blossom tree. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. I'm so glad we have these shulker boxes full of cherry leaves, because we're gonna need all of them. Another thing we're gonna need is dark oak wood, and I have lots of it, because I think dark oak wood and cherry leaves go really well together. I also want to add more details to the leaves of the trees, so we're gonna get some pink stained glass, so we have a little bit of a texture difference when you look up into the tree. And now we can take all of those resources to our little circle here, and then it's tree time. Building a custom tree is scary, especially on a bigger scale, so what I like to do is find inspiration online, and if you ever want to build a cherry tree, I can recommend the Cherry Blossom Tree Guide from my friend Mr. Mad Ranger, because it was really helpful for me, and it gave me so many ideas on how to texture it and figure out how to make it look like a tree. I also added a bunch of these lanterns hanging down from chains, and it's looking really magical. We're standing under a giant cherry blossom tree, and we can also decorate the little circle underneath. And of course it just started raining again. Why? I want to dig out a bunch of the grass around the tree and then replace it with coarse dirt, because a giant tree like this casts a giant shadow, so the grass doesn't have an easy time growing here. And then we can also add some fallen cherry leaves, like they fell down from the tree, and then some petals around it for some more texture. These pink petals could just be the flowers, or they could be fallen cherry leaves. And then we can also add in some taller grass patches here and there, because we can't make everything pink, we need to get some green in here. Oh my gosh, this is looking so cool now. Look at this tree and all the other things underneath. This is just so magical. And I also want to have a little picnic under the cherry blossom tree. So first of all, we're gonna need a picnic blanket. And to keep the cherry vibe, we're gonna need some pink wool. Thank you, sheep. Bye, sheep. Do you guys think I should build them a nice home too at some point? They look kinda unhappy in there. And I also want to bake a cake, but I'm lazy, so I'm just gonna buy one from Gordon. Thank you very much. We should have the picnic right under this leaning branch. So let's make a little checkerboard pattern with the white wool and the pink wool. I did it wrong already. I'm so bad at this. I did it right now. Pro Minecraft. And some of the carpet can be replaced with wool, so we can place a cake on top and a little flower pot with a tulip in it. And of course it's a pink one. And I always like to make a picnic basket out of 2 composters and then placing trapdoors on top and have one open. And it kind of looks like a picnic basket. And now we can have a cozy picnic time under the cherry blossom tree. Or we could get stuck in the picnic basket. But just having one big cherry blossom tree in the village isn't gonna be enough. We need more. But no more giant ones. But how about some tiny trees instead? I'm taking inspiration from the Minecraft cherry tree, but giving the branches way more details by adding fences and slabs. And then we just have to add the leaves around this. And now we have a really nice custom cherry tree. And I also added 2 more of these little trees around the area. So now we just have to decorate the spaces in between the buildings. I want to put a crop field next to Daisy's farm because that kind of makes sense, but I want it to be a pretty crop field. So first let's turn everything into farmland, and then we can plant the crops. I planted carrots and potatoes in little rows next to each other, so now we have a vegetable field. I also added leaves and flowers everywhere, and now it looks really nice. And if you're wondering why there's this random scaffolding, well, that's because I want to add a beehive on top, because bees make the crops grow faster. Yay, there's a bee! Now do your thing, bee, and help the villagers get the potats. And I added a second beehive, and now this little farm area is finished. And to the right of the farmhouse, I added a little flower garden and a well so they can get water for their crops. And I'm gonna detail the area around the well using a bunch of different pink flowers. Now this well area is done as well. Haha, get it? And we have a cozy decorated flower path. The next part of the village is the space in front of the book barn, and this village is lacking one important thing: water. Ignore that I just built a water well. So I'm gonna add that in form of a pond with water flowing down from one level to the one below. And of course I decorated it with a bunch of plants. My favorite part is making these cattail plants using brown candles on top of tall grass, and it actually looks like the plant, which is so cool. And I also added a little duck nest hidden in the bushes. And of course we recently got firefly bushes in a new update, so I added them by the pond too. And when night falls, we have a beautiful light show. And in this part I want to build another villager house, but just a tiny one that's simply gonna serve as a home for them to sleep in, because I want to have some more villagers free roaming in Cherrytown once it's all zombie proof. I added a tulip field in front of the house with rows of pink and white tulips, which is something I'd love to build on a bigger scale someday. The majority of the village is decorated now, which leaves me with the entrance area here. I want this village to only be accessible by elytras, so nothing else can crawl in and feast on the brains of the unsuspecting peasants, I mean villagers. But I still want to have a pretty entrance. Priorities, you know. So I think it's time to finally build the wall around the village that is going to keep them nice and safe inside. And the entrance is a diagonal arch welcoming you to Cherrytown. And hopefully Cherrytown is going to be safe from now on, even though the entrance is wide open, because I used a little trick here. I placed moss carpets over a hole full of tall flowers, which tricks zombies, and they won't walk over it because they are scared. So the sunflowers are going to be protecting us, hopefully. And now we can decorate the entrance area. These signs here just say flowers, because I probably had no idea what to add here when I wrote this, but now I got a really cute idea. I said while aggressively swinging an axe. The vanilla Minecraft villagers often have these little market stalls, so I'm gonna build one here too, but pastel Cherrytown edition, and of course diagonal. And displayed on it, we're gonna have tulips and flower pots to tie it into our tulip field over here, so the person owning that can sell them here. And I wanted the area on the side to still give off market vibes, so I built little tables where the villagers can gather, and I actually added fletching tables in here to tempt the villagers into actually being over here, because they will always choose to run into the wilderness instead of spending some quality time together in a beautiful cherry blossom town that I just built, because villagers are weird. I also added some hanging plants here, which are really cute, and I detailed some smaller bits in the village by spamming grass and flowers and made sure that everything was lit up so there won't be any incidents. I also have 3 cats sitting around my village, but they don't have any names yet, so I'm gonna leave that up to you guys, and you can let me know in the comments if you have any ideas. Now we just have to move some more villagers into Cherrytown, so let's see if the villager breeder worked while I was building. Okay, so it kind of broke because Joel isn't supposed to be on this side, but before it broke it actually worked because look, there are so many villagers in there, and I just fell in there with them. Now it's time for one last flying lesson to safely bring them over to Cherrytown. I brought 4 new villagers and they're already running off exploring their new home. I hope they're not looking for ways to escape already. But one villager is still in the boat because I have a special plan for her. I'm going to name her Brooke, and she's gonna be the mayor of Cherrytown, named after my friend Brookella, who's an expert on everything pink, and her cherry blossom builds gave me a lot of inspiration. But my friend Brooke doesn't look like this, so we gotta give this villager a little makeover. And for that I'm gonna wear Brooke's skin, and now I just have to repeatedly hit myself with an arrow until I get wrecked by myself. I have a data pack that will drop the player's head if they are killed by another person or themselves. And look, now we have Brooke's head. Then we gotta get a dispenser, and I put the head inside, then we flick the lever, and Mayor Brooke is born. And with the villager nose still sticking out, this is so funny. Be free, Mayor Brooke, and please take care of Cherrytown. Brooke, if you see this, get pranked. Teehee. Now we can walk through Cherry Town, past the villagers, spreading gossip, as they always do, and appreciate all of the builds and decorations that make Cherry Town unique. We didn't only completely transform the Cherry Grove biome and build a pastel village, but we also created one of the most useful structures in my Minecraft world. After finishing this build, we won't just fly away and never visit again. We're gonna return regularly to trade iron and melons for emeralds and buy diamond tools and enchants or building blocks and ingredients from the other villagers. And that is the kind of village I have always wanted to build. And I hope you enjoyed this video. It took over 100 in-game days to create this, and I can't wait to dive into the next project. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Bye!